Hello everyone and welcome on this video lecture. And in this video lecture we are starting this constraint motion. We will be putting this in the next chapter, which will be named as a constraint motion, NLM and friction. So what this constraint motion is and how we write the constraint relation of different motion, we will be learning in this particular video. So by now what we have understood in kinematics part is that if there is one particle and if this particle is moving, so we are able to describe its motion. That means we know about the relations, like what the position of the particle is, what the velocity of the particle is, what the acceleration of the particle is with respect to time. So we know all these parameters with respect to time for a single particle. Now we are moving ahead. Now we are moving from one single particle to multiple particles. So we need to understand or describe motion or talk about multiple particles together. Then there might be the cases then the motion of one particle is affected by the motion of another particle. So if motion of one particle is constrained with the motion of another particle, then we will say such motion is constraint motion. Here are some examples related to the constraint motion, and these figures will let us know what exactly the constraint motion is. Then we will be going deeper into and trying to solve them or find the constraint relation. So let's say this first figure we look at, and let's say there are two particles, and these two particles are connected by a string or maybe a rod. So let's say this is a string. Generally we will have strings. Now there is we will learn some basic properties of a string shortly, then we will move ahead. So this is just in general illustration. So let's say A and B, two particles are connected with this string, and let's say you are moving this B particle like this. You are giving the velocity to this B particle like VB. When you give the velocity to this particle B, we know by our practical experiences that if you are starting moving this particle B, it will affect the particle A as well. A will not remain at rest if B starts moving. If the string is strong enough and it's not breaking, so you'll find you will find that A is also going to move. So if you give this velocity, then what will be the velocity of A particle? That's we are going to look at. This is a simple example you can catch if you are moving this with a particular velocity, so it will also get the same velocity. But whatever the velocity this A is going to get, this is coming because of the velocity given to B. So the motion of B is affecting the motion of A. So that means this is a constraint motion. And if we find a relation between VA and VB, so that relation is going to be known as constraint relation. Now constraint relation can be in velocities, constraint relation can be in acceleration, constraint relation can be in displacements. So all the parameters of kinematics. So if we are drawing a relation among velocities or between velocities, so that will also known as a constraint relation. Similarly, if somebody says this moves with acceleration AB, so find the acceleration of AA, so that's also going to be known as a constraint relation. Moreover, if you can take origin over here, measure this location as XA, measure this location as XB, and find the relation between XA and XB, that is also going to be known as a constraint relation. So what is a constraint relation? It's a relation between or among position, velocity and acceleration of those particles which have a constant motion. So our purpose in this particular video lecture will be making the relations between either positions or velocities or accelerations, and thus finding constant relation. And what is going to be question types? One velocity will be given to us, another velocity will be asked. So if we got the relation, we can easily find out the other velocity. Similarly, we can solve the acceleration part, and similarly we can solve the position part. So that was one example. There's another example. You look like you can see this. Now let's say there are two blocks A and B. We call them as a block or particle, and this is called pulley. And these two blocks are connected by a string with the help of a pulley. So that's called a string pulley system or string block system. And there are two blocks, block B and block A. So these are the names you might be aware of. If not, you need to remember these things. And now again, if you release the system, and this is something called a fixed base. So, and pulley is allowed to rotate, so pulley can rotate. So if A goes down, then we can think of B has to move. It's not like if A starts moving and B says no, I'm not going to move at all. So that not will be the case, because they are connected. Once they are connected, so motion of A and motion of B are connected together. That means there is a constraint. So that is a situation of a constraint motion. Again, if we call it as a VA, if we call it as a VB, and find a relation between A and B, then this relation will be known as constraint relation. Understood? Now the question might be this kind of simple, or maybe of this level of simplicity, or maybe this level of complexity, or maybe any other type. But ideas remain the same. Let's say talk about this example. And in this case, let's say there are so many pulleys are connected, and so many strings, and so many blocks. And let's say this block is being pulled by a certain velocity called Vf. Now, if you're moving this by a certain velocity, you'll find all the blocks are going to be affected. That means this string is going to this is passing over this, so this will make this pulley move. Once this pulley moves, then all these strings connected to this, they will also be affected. However, this is fixed, so this string is not going to move from these parts. It will be moving from here. This pulley starts moving, hence this block has to move, and then this pulley starts moving, so this block has to move. Similarly, this string, then this string passes over here, and this will cause this pulley to move. Once this pulley moves, so this block moves, and then this pulley moves. Then you find this affects this block A and this block B. You can see these are all affected by motion of this. So again, we need to find the relation among this velocity of F, velocity of E, then velocity of D, then velocity of C, B, A. That means from A to F, all the blocks will have velocities, and these velocities will be related by a relation, and that relation will be known as constraint relation, or the motion will be known as constraint motion. How that relation will come into play, we will see in this chapter or in this particular topic. Apart from string block arrangements, there are another type of arrangements as well, like shown over here. This triangular is called triangular wedge, and this triangular wedge is placed over, arranged like this, that there's a rod, and this rod is fixed. That means it's constrained to remain vertical. So this rod cannot bend. This is how it has been arranged, and this is going to be smooth surface. And let's say if we release this system, so this wedge will start moving in this direction, right? And if it starts in this direction, then you'll find this rod will move downside. It's going to push it down, because it can move upside and downside only. So what this velocity, let's say this velocity is V1, this velocity is V2. So we need to find the relation between V1 and V2. That will be known as constraint relation. So this constraint relation can be of various type. Mostly it will be including string pulley system, and this wedge and rod system, or it can be other geometries as well. All right. So let's move ahead, and before we go inside into, we need to learn basic about what the string is, what the property of string is, and what the property the pulley carries. Okay, so let's talk about them in brief. Okay, so now let's talk about what a string is and what the properties it carries. So a string is also known as thread. It can also be called as rope. So either of the name that can be used. And what we assumed it to be, we can draw like this. So let's say this is a string for us, and these are the two terminal point, A point and B point. And let's say we are fixing this B point, and let's say at A point someone is applying a force on this. In fact, someone is pulling it. Now, string is something that can be pulled, right? That means you can try to pull it, and that means if you draw this string separately, you will find it will be experiencing forces. So this fourth chapter that we have started, we will be talking about what exactly the force is and how they act. And based on your some basic knowledge, we can think of if this person is pulling it. So when this person pulls it, that means it applies a force in the outward direction. So that means it's a pulling like this. So if this person is pulling by a force F, let's F is a force, someone is pulling it, then you'll find at B point, this is happening at A point, right? So at B point, you'll find this point is also being pulled by this fixed structure, that's a wall. So we will show that this is being pulled by pulled at another end as well by this wall or this fixed location. So either you make this kind of structure or you can make this kind of arrangement. Both are the same thing. So if you tie a string or rope or thread with a wall and you pull it, then you'll find this string is being pulled from both the directions, right? What you cannot do is otherwise, that means you cannot push it. If you try to apply force like this, that's called push force. So you'll find this will become slack, right? And this wall cannot push. So to this string, so wall can pull it. If this wall is not there, then you'll find as you pull it, this entire portion will start moving in the forward direction. So this wall is basically preventing this particle of this string to move forward direction. Hence, it is applying force like this. Anyway, what is important for us to know is this: this force is going to be act like this. So we call them, they are pull efforts or pull force. So in a string, there is a pull force. Moreover, this string is having pull force at all the location having the same value. So that means if we imagine another location, let's say C, and we try to see what happens at the C point, then you'll find at C point there is going to be also a pull force acting. So if we imagine by cutting this at the point C, and let's say imagine the rest of the two parts, so you'll find the forces will be acting like this. This is, let's say, A point, this is C point. So again there is a C point, there is a B point. So we are just imagining what happening at this this C point, which is somewhere in between or somewhere on this string. You'll find if you have applied this force F, and then there was a force F acting. So this C will also experiencing a pull force, that's F. This is also experiencing a pull force, that's called F. So this is how we are going to show the force. So we can remember how we are going to show the force. At any point on the string, the force will be acting along the string and away the string. So along, that means it's not going to act any other direction like this. No, it will be along this string. And there will be along there will be two directions, away as well as towards the string. So it's always away. So force on a string at any point acts along the string and away the string. And if we try to see what happened to this wall, so if you look at this wall carefully, then you'll find the string was pulling this wall. So this is being pulled like this. So a string applies force on the connected body towards a string, and on the string the force acts away, so that these two forces becomes equal and opposite as per the third law of Newton that you know, and you will be learning it in upcoming videos. Similarly, at C point, when you saw it, then you find that the forces are equal and opposite, so that they are cancelling out each other. Right? This force is being applied by the person, so we call this as external force. Making sense? Now this force is called tension. So in a string there is a tension, and instead of calling it a force, we will call it as a tension. And this tension is this force, the force that a string experiences at all its points. This tension is denoted by T, and this T is equal to F. F, the force that you apply in pulling it. And the point is that at all the points on the string you'll find the same tension will be acting. Now we will be having some assumptions about this string. We assume the string to be, so assumptions, let me write over here, assumptions. This will be valid until and unless the question says specifically. First assumption that we take is that a string is massless. So whatever the string is given to us, we will consider it to be massless. That means we will ignore its mass. We will say that its mass is negligible, 0. Right. Second assumption that we are going to take for all these string cases in future, until unless it is specified, that string is inextensible. Inextensible. What is the meaning of inextensible? Its meaning is that it cannot be extended. Now you are applying forces like this, you see over here. So if it would have been a spring, then you might have imagined that its length would have gone up. But in case of a string, also its length increases, but we ignore that. So we say this is inextensible, that means length is fixed. So that means fixed length. Length cannot be increased by the tension. That's what the meaning is. When you apply a tension, pull a string or rope, you cannot increase its length. That's called inextensible property. So these are the two assumptions we follow. And based on these two assumptions, our conclusion is that the tension will be acting on all the points of the string and it will be equal. So next point that to carry is tension. That means the force, which is written by T, tension at all points of a string is same. So at all points you will find the same tension acting in number or magnitude. Direction depends on the alignment of this string. So it's along the string and away the string. Makes sense? So for a string, these are the some important points that you need to keep in mind for now onwards. Just like we talk about a string, some important point, we will talk about the pulley, what the properties or assumptions the pulley carry. Okay, so now look at this pulley. Pulley is a mechanical device that allows the string to pass over and it rotates. So this is in the form of disc. So you must have seen or might have seen this disc or pulley in your daily life somewhere. So it's like hinged at this center point, and it can rotate freely in both direction. If it is rotating like this, we call it as rotating in clockwise sense, and if it is rotating in this way, so we show this arrow, that means this is rotating like this, that's called anti-clockwise rotation. And this point is a hinged point, or there is axis passing through this, that's called a hinge point or hinge axis. What happens, you have a string, so let's say string is passing over this, it might be going like this downside and wrapping it to some portion, and might be moving in this straight forward, or maybe going downside, or in any arrangement that depends on the arrangement. So this is how the string comes over it in contact, and it allows this string to move. That means if this rotates in this manner, then you'll find this string goes downside, right? And if it rotates in otherwise sense, then you'll find this string is going upside. So this is the utility of a pulley. Anyway, it's like if we attach a block over here, maybe let's call this one block, and we attach another block over here that we call as the two blocks. So these two blocks are getting connected by the string, and the string passes over the pulley, so that pulley allows this string to bend and give the different directions of motion. And this is going to have this has to be fixed on some platform, so you must be given this kind of thing, that this block is placed on a horizontal surface like this, and this might be hinged somewhere like this, and then it can be visualized in practical life. So what this pulley have assumptions that we need to keep in mind. So those assumptions are that let me write these assumptions again. Until and unless question says anything else, you will find these assumptions. First assumption is that we will consider it to be massless. So pulley is considered to be massless. That means its mass is ignored until unless it is asked to mention. Secondly, we will consider that that is fixed, and this rotation is perfectly smooth. That means the velocity of these points on the periphery of the pulley and the velocity of the string is identical. That means pulley over the pulley, this string is not sliding. It's in the contact, and in contact both the particles are moving. Let me show that like this. If I draw this pulley separately and that string as well, and if I draw that string separately, so the contact point, I'm only focusing on this portion. So you'll find what is happening in these two. This is some sort of this passing over it, and then becomes vertical, and this becomes horizontal. So if you look at maybe this point, which was in contact point, so this point will have a velocity in tangential direction. So whatever the velocity this point has in the tangential direction, and let's say this point was connected in the contact with this, so this point will also have a velocity in the tangential direction, and you'll find both velocity will be identical. That means point 1 or let's say point A and point B, which were together in contact, whatever the time they share this contact, and they have the same velocity. That means there's no sliding or no relative motion between the points A and B. We have understood the relative motion, right? So velocity of A point with respect to B is going to be velocity of A minus velocity of B. And no relative velocity means both must have the same velocity. So there's no relative velocity between the contact points of the string and of the pulley. So that's one of the points. In real life, you might find some sliding taking place, but that's also going to be assumption, right? So they move in just a contact. That means velocity of point A is going to be equal to velocity of point B. A point is on the pulley and B point is on the string, and they are in contact points. And this kind of, there are several contact points that are running from this point to this point, and for this is true for all the points which are in contact. So this is also one of the points that we need to use for case of pulley. Another point that we assume is this: when it is rotating, there is no frictional force acting on this axle or in the rotation. So that's a perfectly smooth rotation. That means on this tension there is no objection from the pulley. So axle, we generally call it as the axle, is frictionless. That means smooth. Okay, so these points are true for the pulley. So particularly we need to remember that this is the velocities of the contact points are identical, and the pulley is massless until and unless it's stated, and friction, there is no friction on the axis. Now let's move forward and try to understand this string block constraint relation, how to write the string block constraint relation. So we have understood what the string properties are, and the block is simply an object, or we can treat it as a particle, and we need to find the relation between such blocks which are connected. So let's take the very basic example that we talked in beginning example. So let's say this is one block and this is another block, and these two blocks are connected by a string. So let's say this is a string, which is a massless string, which is connecting these two. So now that motion of these two will be constrained, that means they will be dependent on each other. So we need to see how they are depending, and how we can solve that, how we can find this relation of constant motion. Now finding the relation of constant motion has several ways. We can opt several ways. So one of the ways is ways we are going to discuss. Let's say this block is named as one block A, or one, whatever you name it. This is a second block. and that's a string in between. Okay, that's obvious. So let's say velocity to one of them is given as this. Let's say I'm giving this velocity as v2, and this is a velocity v1. So we need to find v1 and given v2, or if it is v1 is given, we can also find v2. That means our purpose is to find a relation between v1 and v2. So how we can find a relation? There can be a number of ways. So there are two ways I'm going to discuss, and another way is given to you in that module that have been provided. So that will be third. So you will be learning all the three ways. So let's say method 1 we are talking about. What is given information in this particular scenario is, can you find what is the given information is? Apart from this v1, v2, you will be knowing that this is a string, right? And this string is inextensible. If it is inextensible, that means its length, if it has a length L, so this length remains constant. And we can think of that this is origin, and we can think of this is your x direction. This can be easily thought of, right? And then we can say, let's say, try to write the location of particle A at any instant of time. So we can say the location or position of particle 1 is, let's say, that is x1. Now as particle moves, x1 changes, and this is a fixed point. Origin is always fixed, right, with respect to ground. And similarly, let's measure the position of the second particle as x2. So here in this method 1, we will be simply using this property that the string is inextensible. That means L is a constant. So L is the length of a string, and it is a constant because we know that length does not change. And now we will be using the rules. If something is constant, so what is the derivation of this? If we differentiate this with respect to time, so whether the length going to change with respect to time or not, you say no. So that differentiation will become 0. So mathematically we will be writing dl by dt equal to 0 whenever situation will arrive. Now as far this x1 is concerned, this x1 changes. So can we write this x1, right, dx1 upon dt? If somebody says what is dx1 of dt, so we will say this is the rate of change of position of this first particle with respect to origin. And the rate of change of position of any particle or any location with respect to origin is called velocity. So that will become the velocity of first particle. That means basically it's going to be v1. Makes sense? And if you differentiate x2 with respect to time, then you'll find it's going to be v2. Keep in mind that x1 direction and v1 direction are same. That's why we are writing those as a plus, and we are writing as a plus. And similarly, v2 direction and x2 direction are identical, so we are writing it as a plus. We are not showing that plus, but that is there. Now if this v2 would have been in opposite direction, so we will say this v2 and x2, they are in opposite direction, so place a minus sign. So from there we can decide where to take this plus or minus. Point is, we have got to know this x1 derivative as v1, x2 derivative as v2. Furthermore, if you differentiate this v1 in future dv1 by dt, so that will be indicating acceleration of first particle, and similarly dv2 upon dt will be acceleration of the second particle. This is a very basic example. I am illustrating in very detail so that you can replicate this method for all the upcoming questions. Now this L is length and this derivative is 0, and these relations these further relations we have understood based on our kinematics knowledge. Now in this particular situation, what is given to us? Can we say the equation that we can make that at any instant of time this distance will remain L? That means that x2 minus x1 is equal to L. So now we are writing constant relation. So constant relation is going to be the position of 2 minus position of 1 is equal to L. So that is a constant relation in positions. Now in case we want to write in terms of velocities, next point would be differentiating it both sides. So if you differentiate it both sides, so you need to apply d upon dt. You are differentiating over the time, and it's going to be x2 minus x1 is equal to d upon dt on L. That's how you are going to proceed. Now you know the rules of differentiation. It will go further inside, so it will become dx2 by dt minus dx1 by dt is equal to dl by dt. We have understood this is 0, so place is 0. Moreover, if you carry with this, or let me carry over here itself, so what is dx2 by dt is? dx2 by dt is velocity of second part, so that's the velocity of second part, minus dx1 by dt is v1 equal to 0. So that's what the relation became. That means we got to know v2 is equal to v1. So that becomes the constant relation in terms of velocity. And that's quite obvious. If you pull this block by certain velocity and this length is not increasing or changing, then you'll find that this will be moving with the same velocity as of this. So they will move with the same velocity. That was obviously that can also be thought of practically, but this is how mathematically it is coming. And moreover, if somebody is looking for constant relation among accelerations, so what you're going to do, you can further differentiate this. So further differentiation will say d upon dt of v2 is equal to d upon dt of v1. Can you see from here, this will become acceleration of the second, this is going to be acceleration of the first, so that will become the constant relation for the acceleration, this is the constant relation for the velocity, this is the constant relation for the position. So for any case or any arrangement, you can do this thing. So that's the one method. What you need to do, you need to write the location of all the particles, then find the relation of length with these positions, then go for the differentiation. Once you differentiate, you will get in terms of velocity. Further differentiation will lead to acceleration constant relation. Okay. Now let's talk about another method of doing the same problem. So both the methods are going to be important. So for the same question, we are going to use this second method, and this method is going to be very useful for future, and it might appear a bit challenging initially, but once you got it, it's going to be quick, correct, and important as well. So what we do in this case, we use this. Simply let me write directly, summation of t for tension, dot v for velocity is equal to 0. This we are going to use for velocity calculation, and if we need to calculate for acceleration, so we will replace this v by a, so that will become for acceleration constant equation. If we are interested for position, so we can replace it by x. So generally we will talk about in terms of velocity, so I'm writing in terms of velocity, but it can be used for all the cases. That means you can replace it by position as well as by acceleration. It will be working. What it is, how it is being applied, we need to learn first this. That means first we are going to learn how we are going to apply this and what how we can solve that. And then later on we will be learning why we are using this. So why aspect will come later. First, it's utility. It will be giving you the same relation, and we have already calculated the relation is going to be v1 equal to v2. So in this particular case, this must also give the same answer, and for all other cases, it will giving the same answer, which is true answer of that question. What this is, it says summation. This is a summation. That means you need to apply this for all the blocks or the endpoints of the string. So you need to see how many blocks are there. For all blocks, you are going to apply this thing, and you need to add them, and then you need to put it to 0. Let me write in this particular example case. So here this is one block, and this is another block. So we will write this t dot v for the block number 1. Then plus t dot v for the block number 2. This is going to be 0. Now you will be you need to find the directions of velocity. So you need to find what the directions are, or if it is not given to you in the question, then you need to assume it. And let's say v2 was given to us, so v1 assumption is quite simple. v1 can be assumed along the direction of the string. This v1 will not be in any other direction, but it will be only in the direction along this. So either you will assume this or you might assume this, but v1 will be deciding. That means initially we need to decide the direction of v1 and v2, Either they will be given to you or you need to find them out. So you need to decide in which direction the block is going to go. Then after another point is to find this T. T for tension. Tension we have just briefed up. So what these tensions are. So for that sake, we need to draw the first block, and we need to see in this block what is the tension acting, because this tension is coming because of this string. And we know if we draw the string, let me draw this again so that you can think of, if we draw the string, tension is always pulling and away. So tension acts in the direction like this. So in the string it will be acting like this, T. In this it is acting like this, T. And the object with which this is connected is equal and opposite. So here it will be acting like this. So we need to draw the tension on the block and draw the velocity of the block. So this is for the first block. Similarly, come to the second block. What is happening with this? So you'll find for the second block, velocity is in this direction. So this is how the velocity has been indicated, but this tension will be in this direction. So in the connected body, the tension is always toward the string and always toward the string. So this is how we can write directly if we want to write in that particular figure. And here I am showing that separately by drawing separate pictures. Now, then after this is a dot product. These are vector quantities. Force is a vector, velocity is a vector. So there is a dot product that is going on. We need to simplify that dot product. And you have understood the dot product, right? So for the first block, we need to go for the dot T and V. So you need to see this. Look at the direction. What is the angle between T and V? Dot product, if you don't remember, let me quickly revise. A dot B is equal to magnitude of A, magnitude of B, cos theta. So theta has to be identified. So theta, they are parallel. So theta is 0. So you will be writing it's going to be T, tension is T, velocity is V1, cos, angle is 0. So that's what it is. Plus, come to the second. Tension is T, so we will write it as a T. And velocity is V2, so we will write it as a V2. Into angle, they are opposite. So since they are opposite, so angle is 180. So it becomes 180 is equal to 0. Go ahead and you will be finding a relation. You find the T as a common. This becomes V1. From here, cos 180 is minus, so minus V2 equal to 0. Then we will say this T is a non-zero number because there is a tension existing. So this bracket must be 0. So from here, you are getting V1 minus V2 equal to 0. So that's a constant relation. That means what is the constant relation that we are getting? V1 is equal to V2. Once you got V1 equal to V2, differentiate, you will get the acceleration, integrate, you will get the displacement constant relation. Particularly, you will be asked this velocity relation, so you can find it out. So no matter how complicated picture you have been provided with, what you need to do is drawing the tension, drawing the velocity, and operating this. Once you do this in couple of steps, you will be finding your answer. Right, so these are the two methods that we are going to use to find out constant relation in case of string block arrangement. Now let's take a couple of examples and use both the method to find out constant relation. So this will be done for us. At least string block arrangement will be done. So let's take this example. In this example, it is saying that find the relation between VA and VB, or V1 and V2. VA means velocity of A, VB means velocity of B. And they have been shown over here. So we are going to use both the methods. So let's say we are starting with this method 1. So first way of doing it is this. I'm applying both the method again here. So you need to watch it carefully in case you missed it. So you will be getting it here completely. In this case, again, we need to use the length of the string. That means inextensible nature. So we need to first identify origin. So let's say this is origin. And let's say measure the position of this A particle as a downside. This is measured as a, let's say, Y. And the position of B is being measured from this origin in this direction. So this is position of B, let's say that is X. You can choose any of the parameters, that hardly matters, but yes, whatever they are, they has to be maintained. So can we say from this that the length of the string, which is going to be this and passing over this, Now if we choose origin over here, so this part of the string will remain constant no matter what the location or the time is. So we can say from here a constraint relation like this, that x plus y must be equal to constant. Well, it may not be exactly equal to the length of the string, but it will be a length of the string and plus this minus this some number or something like that. But everything else is a constant, so we are writing simply as a constant. So that's a constant relation for this particular case. And now we can go for the differentiation. So we will write it as a dx by dt, differentiating with respect to time. So this will become dy by dt, differentiating with respect to time. Constant differentiation will become 0. And then go ahead. If you go ahead, then you'll find what is dx by dt. Dx by dt is the rate at which the position of b is changing. So we will find this dx by dt, let me write over here, dx by dt is decreasing as the x is decreasing as the time goes, because the v2 is opposite direction, so we write it as a minus v2. And what about dy by dt? dy by dt is basically the rate at which the position of a is changing. So as time passes, y increases, so v1 and vy, they are in the same direction, so we are going to write as a v1 plus. So why we wrote this minus, can you think of? From origin, the position was pointing in this direction where the velocity was this, they were opposite, so minus sign came in, which will lead to this minus v2 plus v1, that will become equal to 0. So again the constant relation is coming like v1 is equal to v2. Or we can simply say the all the points of the string have the same velocity in magnitude, so they are equal. From there we can also say, but we are trying to develop some method, so this is one of the method to find it out. Now another method could be the one that we just spoke or talked about, and that is going to be saying that this summation of t dot v must be equal to 0. So we need to see the two blocks and their velocities. Velocities have been indicated there, you can see from there. What about the tension? Tension is along the direction of the string and this way, so you say that is t. Since there is the same string, so tension remains same, so this also same, so that's going to be t there. If you can watch the t and v for all the two blocks, then you can easily write what this is going to be. We will say this is going to be written t dot v for the first block, or let's say call that a b block, and this has to be done for the block number a, and then it is going to be 0 because there are two blocks only. Now write this dot product for the block b. This is block b. You see the t and v2, they are in the same direction, so can I write it's going to be t v2 cos 0 becomes 1 plus, for this you see the t and v1, they are opposite, so minus or you say 180, so t v1 cos 180, this will become equal to 0. After simplification, you will lead to like t in bracket v2 minus v1. Why minus v1? Because cos 180 is minus 1, that becomes 0. Again you are going to claim as a v1 equal to v2. So you'll find the same constant relation by using two different methods. Both are important and both are going to give you the correct answer. Okay, let's go for the next example. So here is another example, and this is a numerical. It says find the velocity of block B. This arrangement is given to us, so this is all a fixed arrangement. That means this cannot move. And there's a block A. This block A is being moved with velocity 8 meters per second as shown in the figure. This angle at this particular instant is given as a 37, and this is velocity of B. Block B has to move in the horizontal direction, so that's the direction, and this velocity of B we need to find out. So you can use either of the method. So I'm going to use this method, the second method that we just learned. So how the solution is going to go? For this solution, you need to say summation of t dot v must be equal to 0, and this has to be applied for the two blocks, block A as well as block B. Next we need to find the tension. Tension is along this string and towards the string, so this string will be pulling it, so that's the tension. Since this is the same string, so tension remains same, so tension remains same. So here also is going to be tension T. So tension is always act along this string, and that's the pulling. So these are the tension, these are the velocities, and we can go ahead now. When you are going ahead, there are two blocks, so you say that this is going to be applied for A as well as for B. So T dot V for block A plus T dot V for block B. That's a dot product, right? Equal to 0. Apply for this or solve this dot product for the first. Same tension, no problem. Then you say this between these two, how much the angle is going. Velocity and T, they are in the opposite direction. So angle is 180. So you write the tension is T, velocity is VA, and this cos 180. Plus, come to this T and V, you can see from here, and angle is theta, this 37, whatever is given to you. So you will find that T into VB cos 37 degree equal to 0. Again, T can be cancelled out because T is non-zero. So we will find this as a minus VA plus VB cos 37. And we know what the cos 37 is. So from here we can find the value of VA, or we can put the values directly. So VA is given to us as a 8. So we will write it as a minus 8 plus VB is something we are looking for. Cos 37 is 4 by 5. So this will give us the final answer equal to 0. So from here we can find the velocity of block B as 8 into 5 by 4. So that becomes 10 meter per second. 10 meter per second. And direction is obviously, if it is not lifting, so it has to move in this direction of horizontal direction. So it's moving in the horizontal direction. So that's your answer. You can also try this by measuring by using another method. You can take this as origin, measure this as X, measure this as Y or L or any other number Y, and then write the length. How we can write the length? You can easily write the length by using this information, because this is something constant. So and you can measure this as X2. So that will be a bit complicated if you look at it. So this Y will be coming in terms of X2 and this constant number, and then this X, then differentiate and find the relation. But I would suggest to follow this method. That method is quick and is going to be same for all complicated cases as well. So this is the equation that I'm giving for you. Find the velocity of B, and this is a block that is giving a velocity VA. This is the block B, so assume this velocity in this direction, that's a VB, and we need to find this VB. This is the string passing over this, so you'll find there's going to be tension acting in this direction, that's a T. The same tension will be acting in this direction, that's a T. Now you apply this constraint relation equation and find the velocity of B. So find this, solve and find this answer, and comment answer in the comment section. And if you are able to find this answer correctly, that means you are able to apply that formula which we just learned. Let's pick another important question. It says find the velocity of block A. So this is arrangement. Let me first explain what the arrangement is. This is some rod or linear platform on which this ring is moving. So there's a ring. This ring has been connected with a string, and that string passes over this pulley and comes to this block A, and that is connecting. And this is connecting this block A. This is what the arrangement is. And this rest of the portion is like this is fixed arrangement, so that supporting the pulley, and this is other support. Okay. And this velocity of ring has been given to us 50 by 3 meter per second, and the moment this angle is given as a 53. We need to find the velocity of A. So we can think of velocity of A as VA, and that velocity of this one as VB. So let's call it as a B. So that's a velocity B, let's say, for a moment. And this is a velocity A we need to find out. Now we need to just find the tension. So in this, tension is going to be acting in this direction, and in this, tension will be acting in the upward direction. So tension is along the string and towards the string in the objects connected with that string. Making sense? And then it can be done easily. How we can solve it? So you can pause and solve, then check. Otherwise I'm solving over here. Go with this summation of T dot V equal to 0. Now apply, let's say, this for the first A part. So they are in opposite direction. So by now you must have understood it's going to be minus TVA. Why minus? Because 180 angle. Come for this, plus it's going to be T into V into the angle between this. This V is a VB. And what the angle they are sharing, this angle is 53. So this becomes cos 53. this is going to be equal to 0. Now t getting cancelled out because of non-zero characteristic, that's a VA, and that's going to be VB into cos this number, which is 53. Cos 53 is 3 by 5. This must be equal to 0. So we are looking for VA, so VA is going to be VB into cos this, which is 3 by 5. How much VB was given? This was given as a 50 by 3, and this came out to be 3 by 5. So that can be simplified. 5 getting cancelled, this getting cancelled, that's coming out 10 meter per second. So again, answer came out to be 10 meter per second. Well, what is answer is coming, that's not our interest. Our interest it was the process we are following, and whether we are able to follow these steps properly. If we are able to follow these steps properly, answer has to come correct. Okay, so that's another important example. Now let's consider another example in which there are multiple pulleys are connected. So in case of multiple pulleys, what we are going to do, so let's first learn this point. What we are going to do, let's say there's a one pulley, and how the tension is going to distribute it, that's going to be the main important concern point. So in this pulley, strings will be connected, right? So what we do is this. Let's say this is having a string connected like this, and there will be a string connected like this, string connected like this. This string will be definitely going like this. This is kind of scenario. So if this kind of scenario you are getting, so till now using this T dot V was giving you answer quickly because tension was getting cancelled out. Now we know this tension, if you look at the tension on this string, there's going to be T, on this string this is going to be T, because this is the same string. As per our rule, same string carries the same tension at all the points. So at this point tension is T, at this point tension is T. But what is the tension on this string? This is a different string. This is not the same string as this. So we should not say this is also T. We should say this is T dash or T1, T2. This is how we need to go ahead. Right? Now, if we are involving T1 and T2 or T or T dash, then you'll find in this summation T dot A or this summation T dot V, after simplification, this T will not get cancelled out by itself. Right, so to make this T cancel out, what we need to do is all these string tensions must be written in terms of single tension. And how we can write that? That can be easily written. If this is T, we have already talked about this is an object which is massless. Since this is massless, so there is a equation called F equal to ma. Let me give you the reasoning as well. If some object came out to be massless, that means mass is 0. That means net force is always going to be 0. That means in case of pulley, if you draw this separate picture, then you'll find the net force must be 0. That means it must be at equilibrium. So pulley is always at equilibrium, that we need to keep in mind. And since it is in equilibrium, we have already talked about in case of equilibrium, all forces or net force is 0. That means total force in the upward direction is equal to total force in the downward direction, right? So this tension is going to act like this. Let me show the arrow as well. This is in the upward direction, this is in the downward direction, because on the string they are away, on the objects they are towards the string. So from here you will get a conclusion that T dash is equal to T plus T, that means 2T. That's another important result you need to keep in mind. That means if this string carries the tension T, then this string gets tension twice T. Right, so if the string is connected from the center of the pulley and going upward, so that will be having the double of the tension of the downside. This is what we need to use for the tension calculation. If you catch this, that's an important point. Then we can solve multi-pulley system in a very similar way as we have solved single pulley system, right? So how we are going to proceed? Let me draw the tension first. This M is going to experience a tension in the upward direction. Let's say that tension is T. So this string will have a tension T. What will be the tension on this string? Can we think of? Yes, we can think of the tension on that string becomes twice T. So this was T, so this also having T, this will become 2T. If it carries 2T, because T plus T 2T, so this will be 2T and 2T, and it will also have a 2T because this is the same string. So that will have a 2T. So if it is having 2T, so what will be this? This also get doubled, that will become 4T. And then this will be having this 4T up to this point. So this is how you can see the tensions will be distributed. So this string will have a tension T, the next will have a 2t, this will have a 4t because they get doubled, or that means this plus this becomes this. If you are able to connect this, then it becomes easy to handle. Now you can draw the two separate figures, one for this m, another for this bigger one, and we can see what the tensions are and what the velocities are. We can draw them separately, or we can see from there as well. Now let's talk about this one. This has a velocity downwards, so let's call it as a 1. So let's say this velocity is v1. v1 is given as a 10 meter per second, right? And let's see how much the tension this is experiencing. We have drawn all the three connecting strings, so these strings will be pulling it in the upward direction by 3 tensions. Now the outermost one have a 4t tension, this will have a 2t tension, this will have a t tension. So this is the total tension acting on this block, the block that is this one, downside. Now what happens to this m block? In this m block you will find there is only one tension acting, which is t in the upward direction, and we need to find the velocity of this block. Now this velocity will be either in the upward direction or it will be downward direction. So choice is yours, which one you are choosing. Now let's say we are choosing in this upward direction, that's a v2. You can choose downward direction, right? So final velocity we need to get after solving this. So let's say we are assuming in the upward direction, as the common sense says, as it goes down it has to rise up. So you will get v2 as a positive. If you are v2 coming positive, that means whatever the direction you have opted was correct. If v2 came out to be negative, that means final direction will be downside. So this is what we are assuming, this is what we have been given. Understood? Now let's use the formula that we have talked about for constant motion, and you will get your answer quickly. It's called summation t dot v must be equal to 0. So this has to be applied for the two cases. Summation t dot v for the block 1, you call sum as a 1, and t dot v for another, that you call as a 2. If there are two blocks, if there are multiple blocks, you can keep on writing this. Now T is the total tension on that block. So in one block total tension is this, and this is in the upward direction. So total tension becomes 4 plus 2, 6 plus T, that is 7T. So it's a 7 into T, and it is in the upward direction, so this here 180 degree. So that's going to be V1 into cos 180 degree. Can you think of? And then go for the second one. Second T is alone and V2 is the same direction we have assumed, so it becomes TV2 equal to 0. Now again T came as a constant common, and that can be taken away or divided both sides, whatever you say it. So that becomes minus 7V1 plus V2 equal to 0. We are interested in V2, so V2 came out to be 7 times V1. So what is V2? V2 is going to be 7 into 10, that becomes 70 meter per second. Now since it came out to be positive, that means the direction that we have opted is correct. So that means we will say block M will be moving upward direction with velocity 70 meter per second. Correct? So this example handles multiple pulleys together, and this becomes very critical point. So first you need to see, you start with some tension from one string, and then pass on to the next as a double, then pass on to the next as a double. So keep on doing so, and then look at the blocks that you are looking. Finally draw the total tension on them. That means all the connected string will be applying the tensions. Then do the same thing for the another block. Go for this, sum them up, you will get your answer back. Well, so in this video lecture we have talked about constant motion, constant relations, some methodology to solve them, and we have handled in detail string block system for single pulley and multi-pulley. And you do similar type of questions, and in the next video we will be moving ahead and we'll be doing these questions and other constant motion as well. Okay, so that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Have a great time.